Please don't yell at me, guys. I'm not trying to make Orisa meta. Please, please, I'm not trying to buff Orisa. We're not trying to buff Orisa, but Orisa is like actually garbage, like unplayable right now. Is Roadhog trash? Maybe not. There's always a lot of things that are going beyond that, but Roadhog got nerfed again. We're at 17 W's. I'm out of W's. We're out of them. I don't think So just nuked. I think it's just shifting her. This is a step in the right direction. But yeah, this is huge. Okay, let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it. Here we go. Knockdown time when two charging abilities collide reduced from 2 to 1.7 seconds. This stun time reduction applies to the knockdown that happens when two charging abilities collide and result in a tie. Reinhardt, Doomfist, Brig, Malga, Bob. Interaction of the two charging abilities impact with each other is great, but took both players of the fight just a little too long. Sure. I'll give that one a check mark. I agree. I like it. Makes sense. It's too long. It's kind of silly. It also heavily favors the tankier target as well, which leads to some unintended punishment for people that are trying to counterplay that. So I think I'm okay with that. All right, guys. D.Va. These changes will improve D.Va's effectiveness against smaller targets as she becomes less effective against armored enemies in the previous patch. Weapon spread reduced from 3.75 to 3.375. Check. Impact damage increased from 15 to 25. This is a Season 9 change that should have gone live in Season 9 since they increased everyone's health pool but did not buff this. This was one of the things we pointed out literally in the leaked Season 9, and this also gets a check. Nice. Good change all the way through. Non-aim related damage source makes D.Va a little bit better versus Squishy. Does not make D.Va that much better versus tanks. And also the boosters more impactful, no pun intended, versus Squishies as well. Great. Good stuff. D.Va's been pretty much struggling pretty badly, and I think D.Va's a fairly honest tank as well. Love it. Good stuff. All right, hold on. Now, wait a second. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. The tank knockback resistance passive was affecting Junker Queen's pull effect more than intended. The distance can be affected by the movement, but tanks are now pulled in at about 5 to 6 meters instead of the only 3 meters or so. There's your leak right now. Jagged Blade now pulls tanks further. Now, let me be very clear. I know there's a lot of controversy right now around passives. Tank passives, DPS passives, support passives, the whole 9 yards. I understand that. In fact, I have that on my list of questions to talk about with Alec. We will be talking about passives. I'm going to be asking, what are y'all's philosophy on passives? It's free value. Do you think they're healthy? Do you think they're going to meet? Obviously, there's the new pickable passives thing that they're doing in the Quick Play Hacked coming up soon, right? I'm going to be asking about that as well. This is a good change. This is a good change. Jagged Blade is supposed to be something that if you land it on a tank gives you the opportunity to have a favorable tank trade. The problem is the pull is so bad right now on tanks. It's extremely weak versus tanks, and it feels really bad. This is good. And again, Junker Queen is an honest tank and deserves buffs. Rampage, start time reduced from 0.75 to 0.5 seconds. Nice. I think this ult takes way freaking too long to start. It's so ridiculously easy to counterplay. I love it. This is great. More W's. 5 W's in a row. Orisa. Oh boy. Oh no. No. Please. Oh no. 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 Please no. Please no. Okay. Okay. Orisa's survivability was reduced more than necessary in her last round of changes, so we're partially reverting the cooldown increase to Javelin Spin. Cooldown reduced from 9 to 8 seconds. You guys are gonna hate me, but this is good. Orisa apparently, okay, so I am gonna leak this. I was told that I heard from around the watering hole that Alec was like, please don't yell at me, guys. I'm not trying to make Orisa meta. Please, please, I'm not trying to buff Orisa. We're not trying to buff Orisa, but Orisa is like actually garbage, like unplayable right now. And they felt like this was the healthiest buff that they could give her without making it like hurt her brain dead. And I do agree. Like, I think like a 9-second cooldown on Javelin Spin is like actually brutal. Again, Alec apparently was like very aware that people don't like Orisa, which is good. Nice job, guys. But yeah, so this is fine. This is honestly fine. This is like Javelin Spin being on 8 seconds. It's like it's the healthiest of her cooldowns. Besides, like it's better than Fortify, right? So it's fine. Roadhog. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 Roadhog's already powerful survivability increased significantly with the headshot damage reduction from the tank roll passes these chains to help to bring that back in line. Base health reduced from 600 to 50 to 600. Take a breather's damage reduction reduced from 50 to 40%. Now you're thinking, oh, that's 10% damage reduction. It's not. It's 20% more damage. 20% more damage. It might not be enough, yeah. People are going to play Roadhog, whatever, but let me give you guys an analogy. If you shoot Roadhog with a skill that does 100 damage, that damage now does 50. Then they're like, screw that, that's not enough. We're going to make the damage reduction to 40%, which means that damage now does 60, which means you're going from 50 to 60. So 10% here is actually 20% more damage while he's vaping, which is going to be noticeable. You will notice this change. You will notice this change. Is Roadhog trash? Maybe not. There's always a lot of things that are going beyond that, but Roadhog got nerfed again. And it's a significant nerf. It's not a huge nerf, but it is a significant nerf. Okay. That's all for tanks. Damage. Oh, you guys are ready for this one? You guys are not ready for this one. You guys are not ready for this one. This is going to be very interesting. You guys are not, I'm telling you guys are not ready for this one. Okay, we're reverting the magnetic grenade ability to be deployed like Cassidy's previous flashbang ability. We already kind of knew this was happening, but we'll keep the hinder effect instead of the full stun. I'm still skeptical of the hinder thing. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I'm like, I don't know. The whole concept of hinder, just in comparison to like, it's a difficult thing. This is still moving in the right direction. We'll talk a little bit more about it. We've heard feedback trying the magnetic grenade's ability and agree that the fantasy of a homing grenade was fun. The moment-to-mode gameplay of it felt often too unpredictable as whether it would land or not. The hinder effect has been a useful tool as a counter to highly mobile heroes without going back to a full stun and the enemy player losing the ability to full heal. And okay, I'm warning you, you guys are not ready for what's about to happen. You guys are not ready for what's about to happen here because you thought that was it. It's not it. Get ready for this one. It gets crazier. The Deadeye Ultimate is getting an adjustment to increase its flexibility towards the end of its duration, enabling it to get value out of buying time outside of buying time for Cassidy or his allies, though it may be riskier to hold it for a long time as the damage reduction will fade away along with the movement speed penalty. We're going to skip to this right now. Deadeye movement speed now scales down over time. The penalty goes from 70 to 35%. The damage reduction now scales from 40% to 0% as the time goes on. So you will now be squishier the longer you hold Deadeye, but you will move faster. So we're going to have some real playmaking potential with this ultimate now. So this is going to be really wild. Really wild. So you can actually kill Cassidy now. Like he's going to have 0% damage reduction in High Noon if he holds it to the end. So it's going to be high risk, high reward if you hold it. So, you know, if you hold a Deadeye, it's a risk. You might die holding the Deadeye, but you also might just kill a lot more people. Peacekeeper, secondary fire, Fan the Hammer is nerfed! They nerfed Fan the Hammer! So guys, okay, this is why I was a little excited here. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 W's in a row. 9 W's in a row! Damage reduction on combat roll reduced from 75 to 50%. 10 W's in a row! Mag grenade rework. Again, I'm still skeptical of the hinder, but this is probably going to feel better. Worth pointing out, the movement speed reduction is harsher, but I will be optimistic here and say 11 W's in a row. Okay, hinder now prevents crouching move. There's a lot to unpack here. I think the cooldown is increased as well. I'd have to go back and check. But then this one is, I mean, come on, it's 12 W's in a row. 12 W's, guys. I mean, when's the last time we've had a patch with freaking 12 W's in a row? Okay, same cooldown, but the cooldown, the length is shorter. Okay, yeah, I agree. I'm keeping a careful eye on Malga, but yeah. All right, let's keep going. May. Okay, you guys ready? No spoilers. No spoilers, Aerithal. May's damage output over time is intended to be on the low end for a damage hero, as she offers strong utility and survivability, but we would like to make the secondary fire more rewarding by increasing the damage and slightly more difficult to land consistency. 13 W's in a row! 13! Actually makes it harder to hit, but actually helps fix a lot of her breakpoints that have been hugely problematic. And by the way, there's a reason why it's 185. It means that tracers, you're still not being one-shot quite yet. You're not being one-shot as a tracer still. So it's gonna feel better for tracer. But yeah. Yes, 3 body shots now kill. Yeah. Okay. Reaper. With the previous patch with how armor reduces damage, shotgun weapons heroes like Reaper lost some value. Since much of the gameplay revolved around pressuring large tank heroes to help shift Reaper towards being more effective against smaller targets, or tightening the weapon spread on Hellfire shotguns and reducing the amount of time enemies have to react to a Shadow Step platform. Weapon spread reduced. Cast time reduced. We are now 15 W's in the chat. Because Reaper is not better at tanks, he's better at squishies, and you can actually use Shadow Step better now. Now, we do know, you guys saw the developer diary where they're working on some animation. Reaper's not done cooking. There's a lot of, like, they're doing some animation stuff. You guys saw that, the notes that they're taking longer. But this is like a while you wait thing. But yeah. So now you can the Reaper's going to feel so much better without being oppressive versus tanks. All right, keep going. Sojourn. This change is reducing the burst potential of the secondary fire railgun shot to both lessen frustration for playing against that burst damage and to shift power into a sustained primary fire damage. This should smooth out the feast or famine nature of Sojourn constantly hitting the secondary fire shots. Secondary fire scaling reduced from 30 to 130 down to 1 to 100 damage. Secondary fire projectile no longer requires overclock to pierce enemy players. Primary fire shots increased per second from 14 to 16. Overclock energy charge rate increased. Guys, we're at 17 W's. I'm out of W's. We're out of them. It's out. I agree, it still needs work. I would prefer something like a faster projectile speed, frankly, instead of faster shots per second, just so it's easier to hit, but feels more like a soldier thing. But this is still really good. I would still also look at the delay after rail as well, because reducing the damage from rail does mean that there's an awkward thing where if you miss the rail, you might get punished for it now. That's probably something they're going to look at, but this is a big step in the right direction. Secondary, in other words, your rail gun can now pierce. You can now collat. You can now collateral hit with your rail out of ultimate. So there's going to be a lot more unusual plays with that. Yeah. How does this affect Mercy Pocket? What is her critical multiplier? 1.5, so 150. I mean, it's not anywhere close to a one shot. So you need many more shots now. Mercy damage boost is what, 25%, right? So you're gonna need at least 2 or 3 more I think 2 or 3 more bullets before you can one shot somebody. And I think you already needed what, 2, 3 shots, body shots, and now you need even 2 or 3 more. But now you can actually collide, and now the primary fire damage per second is noticeably better. This is what, 140. It's like 7% more DPS on your primary fire, something like that. So, I don't think So just nuked. I think it's just shifting her. This is a step in the right direction. Okay, Symmetra. To help solidify Symmetra as a close-range threat, we're increasing her health to better survive in that range. I'm a little bit love-hate with this change, along with how quickly her primary fire beam damage ramps up. Literally exactly what I wanted for her primary fire. Exactly. This is perfect. This is exactly what we needed. Because for the... Okay, let me explain to you guys that don't play Symmetra. Let me explain to you guys. We'll get to the health in a second. Let me explain to why this matters. Primary fire was so bad that it was actually not worth using on a squishy unless you already had beam ramped up. Now, if you can track, if you have good tracking, it's actually probably worth using primary fire in a squishy 1v1 now, if you can track. Whereas before it was totally unusable. And so what meant that it only used beam on tank. Now you can actually, so what we could do here is we could actually increase this even further, in my opinion, like 30, 35%. And then you could scale the beam damage down even. My problem with this is I don't think the health increase was also simultaneously needed. So I'm going to break the trend here with a question mark. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I'm just not so sure. I would prefer this to stay at 250 and keep this change for now. Because I agree with you guys. I don't want this to be a noob stomper character that you play in close range maps in silver and you just focus enemy tank. And in theory, while this does open up her options versus squishies, it also opens options versus tanks. especially considering she still has the regenerate shield off of beam. That's the big one. So I won't say a whiff. It's just not good in a vacuum here. It's not good in a vacuum. Idiari. Developer comments, Idiari's healing pylon is intended to be useful for healing her team in relatively safe positions without much focus required, which enables her to either apply pressure with the primary fire or spot heal and bursts. To encourage this is now improved health and healing output, but is less effective when Idiari uses it to heal herself. So, outburst damage increased from 10 to 25. I mean, this is just obvious. I'm surprised that it ever went live at 10 damage, but yeah, 10 to 25, that's good. That's a check mark. Healing per projectile increased, but pylon healing is now only half as effective when healing Idiari. Max health slightly increased for breakpoints. Let me give you guys, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is an interesting one. It's an interesting one. It's neither good nor bad. It is good in the fact that this needs to be experimented with, but this is not, I don't think, like, immediately, oh, this is good, right? I don't know. Because my concern is that I like that they're discouraging Idiari from just whole solo DPSing on an angle, and that's literally all she does. But honestly, part of that is also her kit design as well. So it means that in Idiari, just 1v1ing people is going to be a lot weaker. A lot weaker, right? Because this is half as effective. You can actually pretty much just ignore Pylon now in a 1v1 if you'd like to. But I don't know. I don't know if this solves her playstyle loop. Because if you make her bad at doing that, then is that all she does? I don't know. You're going to have to basically, you're going to have to start experimenting more with Idiari, I think. This is still barely less self-healing for the Idiari. Not really. It's significantly less. Because even if you increase the projectile from 30 to 40, right? All right, so you've increased it by 33.3%, and then you've cut it in half. So it's 20. It's 50%, or it's, excuse me, 33% less healing than where she was before. You're going to notice this. This is very noticeable. Because you're right. The healing didn't get increased, but it's a significant nerf to her self-heal. She heals herself for a third less than she does on live. And the only benefit that she gets is she does 15 more damage with her outburst. I mean, she already struggles into dive. She's only good versus like a couple like dive DPS 1v1s, really. So it's going to be interesting. This one is, like I said, interesting. This is where I don't think there is an answer for Idiari that's easy. I think this is, unfortunately, I love Idiari as a design in terms of her personality and her character. She's one of my favorites. But I think as a hero function, she's very problematic and difficult. And so I think that's going to take a long time to even get anywhere comfortable with her. But this is something worth experimenting with. Kiriko, hard knockdown Suzus refer to most of... You guys are not ready for this one. Refer to all the existing knockdowns with the player stunned lying in the ground. Laying... Come on, grammar check. Lying on the ground, such as Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, with the exception of On a Sleep Dart, which is removed upon taking damage, protection Suzus cleanse. All right, here we go, guys. Here we go. Swift Step cooldown increased from 7 to 8 seconds. W. No longer cleanses hard knockdown stuns. So I'm trying to remember all of the stuns. I believe it's the counter punch ones. It's Earth Shatter for sure. What else is there? Is there anything else? It's Ryan Shatter. It's Doom's counter punch. Ryan's counter pin. No, it does not include sleep. Sigma Rock, maybe. Malga Charge, maybe. Yeah, it might be. I think Sigma Rock, Counter, Bash, Malga Stomp. Really, really good. I'm curious to see how they're going to like keep an eye on Kiriko, because Kiriko has been one of those characters like Sojourn, because of her skill ceiling, has been tricky to bounce without like her being really trash. But I actually think that she's been surprisingly high pick rate, I think, on... an overbuff even in lower ranks recently. So that might be one of the reasons why they're doing this. But yeah, this is huge. Okay. Colosseo, and that's it for patch notes. So, I mean, maybe the best patch we've ever had. I mean, I honestly cannot remember. Maybe not in terms of, like, it's hard to say because it's like not a ton of these are like life-changing changes necessarily. A lot of them are significant. But in terms of the quiz score here, I mean, we're getting like 95%, guys. Like, this is an A right here. This is, I think this is, I can confidently say this is the first time I've ever had a patch where I feel confident giving an A. I mean, I know we've had a couple of Bs before, but this is probably the first patch I think where like almost every single change is good. And even some of the changes that I'm cautious about, like I'm not sure how the EDRA one's gonna work, and I'm not sure about the base health increase in Sim. I'm not like freaking like, this is crazy. Like this is good. Why do you think no Malga change? I think
only gripe here is lack of breakpoint tweaks for
I get you.
275 horsepower
I don't
breakpoint
think
department.
Malga's okay. I don't like Malga that much, but I don't think Malga's super OP. I think that I feel like he's benefiting from the environment. I feel like the heroes that are decent right now are kind of why Malga's being played. I don't know. I'm also like, it's hard to say because like I don't think Malga in a vacuum is super strong. So we'll have to see. Here's what I would expect. Here, if Malga still has high pick rates in 2 weeks, I would probably assume he's going to get nerfed. Yeah. In terms of Pharah, I think Pharah might get a nerf midseason, but honestly, Pharah's a lot harder to play, and I don't think that she like I don't know. Like Pharah's another one where I think you just got to hold off. I'm also biased because all I can think about Pharah is how much I just sweat to get to Masters with Pharah post rework. Maybe she's received buffs since then. I can't honestly remember. Yeah, so let's look. Yeah, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. So, okay, Colosseo. Remove the glass and added stairs the first checkpoint. We will check all of these out later, y'all, so hold tight. Extended the map with the new Lord section and Mega Health Pack. We'll check that out. Added a route. We'll check out the Colosseo changes. So, this is huge. This is also huge as well. I mean, I love this effect, by the way. This just basically allows so much more access to like these sections that you could otherwise reach. A little bit more cover here. It's just great. It's just great. It's just everything about it is just great. Oh, sweet mercy. This one as well, I think is really interesting because this side of the map was like the death U. We used, because of the high ground and defender's advantage here and how difficult it is to deal with the push robot and still have a decent, like if your backline's here, you're dead. It's over. Now, you not only have more flank angles as defenders and attackers to approach this, but you actually have a lot more space. I think this is a really good change. Reduce the match time from 10 to 8 minutes in quick play for push, okay? Increase push robot speed by 10% when pushing the barricade for both quick play and competitive. Interesting. So this means getting objective advantage early matters more. So we'll have to tweak this more. But yeah. Bug fixes, nothing really noticeable here. Wow, guys. A tier patch.